Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my Children's Bible Story series. This is week 10 of 14 of this series. I am Pastor Mark. I'm interim pastor of the community church in Glen Rock, New Jersey. I'm glad you're watching. Now, I have to send a special shout out to a children's mission and school down in Kenya. They have asked me if they can use these videos for their teaching program. And yes, certainly, use them and use them well. So, hello to everyone out there, but especially to you children in Kenya. I appreciate you using them. Today, we're going to be talking about a tree and fruit of the tree. And by that, I mean, what kind of fruit do we as people produce? So here we go. I'm going to screen share our gospel lesson today. Here we are from Matthew's gospel. These are the words of Jesus now. He's talking. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Ooh, that's quite an image, huh? You'll know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns? Figs from thistles? The same way, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear good fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you'll know them by their fruits. Not everyone who comes to me and says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, do mighty works in your name? I will declare to them, I never knew you. Go away from me, you who behave lawlessly. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who builds his house on a rock. The rain fell, floods came up, winds blew, beat on that house, but it did not fall. It had been founded on rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who builds his house on sand. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew and beat against the house. It fell. And it was a great fall. Now, when Jesus had finished these words, the crowds were astounded at his teachings, for he taught them as one having authority, not like the scribes. Wow, that's a lot to talk about. Jesus is warning us that if we call ourselves Christians, we've got to act like Christians. Or at the end of the world, when Jesus sorts out the Christian from the not Christian, the believers from the unbelievers, the righteous from the unrighteous, he's going to be looking at us and say, who are you? You didn't do what my father said to do. I've met a few people like this in my life. It's sad. They'll go to church, they'll pretend to be Christian, but they act like rascals. They're always stirring up trouble. They don't live lives of love. They don't obey Jesus when he says, share what you have with those who have less. They don't do what Jesus says when he says, blessed are those who make peace. They're God's children. These are folks who carry on about how righteous they are, but what they produce are bad things. Not good fruit, but bad fruit, fruit that poisons people's minds, fruit that causes strife, causes friction between neighbors. That's not what we are called to do. Jesus told us what to do: love one another, seek what's good for each other, share with one another, make peace with one another. And if we do have an enemy, pray for that person. When we act like that, other people will imitate us. And that is the fruit that Jesus is talking about. Our good deeds will spread. You know, we've got to be careful of politicians. Sometimes politicians will say, "Oh, I'm a great Christian," but what they do doesn't show the fruits of Jesus. And other times people might strut around. They just want favor from their neighbors. And they'll strut around saying, "Well, I'm a righteous Christian." But then they don't treat people fairly. And they don't do justice. They don't love righteousness. And they do not walk humbly with God. So let's look at ourselves carefully. If we call ourselves Christian, are we producing fruit that Jesus wants? When we call ourselves Christian, are we following Jesus' commandments about love and sharing and righteousness? Because someday we will die. Someday we will meet God face to face. When Jesus is sorting people out, will we say, "Oh, we were always Christians"? He might say, "No, you weren't. You didn't do what I told you to do." See, it's not enough to say we're Christian. What's important is, do we do what Jesus told us to do? Let's bear good fruit. And if we treat people fairly with love all around us, and they start imitating us, what a loving and wonderful community we will live in. And that, my friends, is the message for today. I do hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you're seeing this on social media or in my YouTube channel, please like it, share it, comment on it. There's no way this can grow and more people can see it unless you folks share it. Will you do that for me, please? Thank you. This is Pastor Mark of the Community Church in Glen Rock, New Jersey. I thank you for listening to this children's Bible story.